Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to crack open the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025.
Yeah,
Their crystal ball for what the job market's going to look like in the next 5
it's
years.
really fascinating. They surveyed over 1,000 employers representing a whopping 14 million workers globally.
Wow.
So that's a pretty massive pool of data to give us a glimpse into the future.
Yeah, that's incredible. So what jumped out at you when you first dug into this report? What are some of the biggest changes we should be bracing ourselves for?
Well, they actually identify 5 major forces shaping the future of work.
Okay.
And it's interesting to see where employers' hopes and anxieties align.
Yeah.
The first force, and the one every employer agreed on, is broadening digital access.
That makes sense. We've seen how technology has revolutionized so many industries already.
Exactly, but it's not just about everyone having a smartphone or access to the internet.
Right.
Broadening digital access lays the groundwork for AI, robotics, the metaverse. Essentially, it's the foundation for almost all the technological innovations that are going to reshape the workplace.
So it's like the backbone of the future job market.
Precisely. But while everyone agrees that this digital expansion is crucial,
Sure.
it also brings its own set of challenges. Almost half of the employers surveyed expressed concerns about the rising cost of living.
Yeah, I can see why that would be a major worry, especially with, inflation and energy prices soaring.
Absolutely.
It makes it harder for everyone, businesses and workers alike.
And then, of course, there's the issue that's on everyone's mind, climate change.
Right, because that's not just an environmental issue anymore.
Exactly.
It's an economic one too.
The report highlights how climate change mitigation and adaptation efforts are going to reshape entire industries, creating new jobs, but also displacing others.
So we're talking about a pretty massive shift in the global economy.
Absolutely. And then you have 2 significant demographic shifts that are adding another layer of complexity.
Okay.
Wealthier countries are grappling with aging populations, while developing nations are experiencing booming working-age populations.
It's like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
Different demographics, different challenges, but also different opportunities.
Exactly. And finally, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, geoeconomic fragmentation.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that mean?
Basically, it means that there's increasing tension between countries, which often leads to less global trade.
Okay.
Think about supply chain disruptions and companies having to rethink their entire global strategies.
So all these trends combined are basically creating a perfect storm of change for the job market.
It's certainly a dynamic and unpredictable landscape, but the report doesn't just paint a doom and gloom picture.
Okay.
It actually predicts a net increase in jobs globally by 2030, something like 78 million new jobs.
Wow, 78 million. That sounds incredibly optimistic.
It does, but there's a catch.
Okay.
The report also predicts nearly 100 million jobs will be lost during the same period.
Okay, so it's a massive amount of job turn. It's like the ground is shifting beneath our feet.
Exactly, and that's why understanding these trends is so crucial.
Yeah.
It's about knowing which jobs are on the rise and which are on the decline, so you can position yourself in a growing field.
So let's dive into that. What are some of the jobs that are going to be in high demand in this new landscape?
Well, in terms of percentage growth, technology is still king. Anything related to AI automation and fintech is projected to see massive growth.
No surprises there. It feels like tech is always at the forefront of job creation.
It is, but one of the biggest surprises is the explosion of green jobs, like renewable energy engineers and electric vehicle specialists. This is directly tied to the global efforts to address climate change.
So it's not just about coding and algorithms. It's about sustainability and finding solutions to some of the biggest challenges facing humanity.
Absolutely, and while those fields may seem very high-tech, another sector that's booming is the care economy.
Care economy, I haven't heard that term before. What exactly falls under that umbrella?
It includes professions like nursing, social work, and elderly care, basically jobs that focus on caring for others.
That makes sense with aging populations in many developed countries. The demand for these roles is only going to increase.
Precisely, and this is where those demographic shifts we talked about come into play.
Yeah.
These trends aren't just abstract statistics, they're directly shaping which jobs are in demand.
So we've got the tech wizards, the green warriors, and the caregivers leading the charge.
Right.
What about the jobs that are on the chopping block? What should people be thinking about if they want to avoid being left behind?
Jobs that involve repetitive tasks, think data entry bank tellers, and even some administrative roles, are going to be increasingly vulnerable to automation.
Because those are the jobs that AI and robots can easily take over.
Exactly. As these technologies become more sophisticated, they're able to handle those tasks more efficiently and cost-effectively than humans.
So it's not just about losing jobs, it's about the skills those jobs require becoming obsolete.
You hit the nail on the head, and that brings us to a critical issue the report calls the skills gap.
Okay, let's unpack that. What exactly is the skills gap, and why is it such a big deal?
The skills gap refers to the mismatch between the skills employers need and the skills workers possess.
Okay.
It's essentially a talent shortage in those high-demand fields. The report predicts that by 2030, a staggering 59 out of every 100 workers will need some form of retraining.
Wow, that's over half the workforce.
It is.
So it's not just about new jobs being created, it's about existing jobs requiring new skills.
Exactly, and here's where it gets even more concerning.
Okay.
Only about half of those workers are actually expected to receive the training they need.
Oh, wow.
This means that a large portion of the workforce could be left behind if they don't adapt.
So it's a race against time to upskill and reskill, but what are the skills that really matter in this new landscape? What should people be focusing on if they want to future-proof their careers?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The report actually breaks down the skills landscape into three categories: core skills that are increasing in importance and those that are decreasing.
Okay.
Think of it as a roadmap for navigating the future of work.
Okay, so let's start with the core skills. These are the non-negotiables, the skills every employer wants to see, right?
Exactly. These are the skills that form the foundation of any job, regardless of the specific industry.
Okay.
Think cognitive skills, like analytical thinking, creativity, and problem solving.
Those seem pretty fundamental, like they'd be valuable in any era, not just the future.
You're right, they are timeless to a degree, but even these core skills are evolving as technology changes the way we work.
Okay.
For example, reading, writing, and math are still crucial,
Of course.
but there's a growing emphasis on digital literacy and data fluency. It's not enough to just crunch numbers.
Right.
You need to understand how to work with data in a digital environment.
So even the basics are getting a digital makeover. What about the skills that are rising in importance? What's hot on the skills market right now?
Well, as we've touched on, AI and big data are at the top of the list. This skill set encompasses everything from understanding AI algorithms to analyzing and interpreting large data sets.
Okay.
It's about using data to make better decisions, automate tasks, and even create new products and services.
So if you want to future-proof your career, learning to speak the language of AI and big data is a pretty smart move, but it's not all about hard skills, is it?
Absolutely not. The report also emphasizes the increasing importance of soft skills, especially those uniquely human qualities that are difficult to automate.
You mean things like resilience, flexibility, and emotional intelligence, those human-centered skills we talked about earlier?
Exactly. Those skills are becoming even more valuable in a world that's constantly changing. Employers need people who can adapt, quickly solve complex problems in creative ways, and work effectively in diverse teams. These skills allow you to navigate uncertainty and thrive in environments that demand constant learning and adaptation.
It makes sense in a world where AI can handle the routine tasks. It's those uniquely human skills that set us apart. But if these skills are on the rise, which ones are heading for the back burner? What should people be phasing out of their skill set?
The report points to a decline in the importance of certain physical abilities, like manual dexterity and physical strength.
Okay.
This is largely due to automation taking over many physically demanding and repetitive jobs.
Right, because robots are taking over those tasks, so those specific skills are becoming less valuable in the job market. What about those super niche technical skills? Are they still relevant in this age of AI and rapid technological change?
It depends on the specific skill. Some highly specialized technical skills are still in high demand, particularly in fields like cybersecurity and software development. But as technology continues to evolve at an accelerating pace, many hyper-specific skills become obsolete quickly. It's a constant game of catch-up.
So it's not enough to just master one specific skills. You need to be adaptable and constantly learning new things.
Precisely, the report really hammers home the importance of continuous learning. It's no longer enough to acquire a set of skills and coast on those for your entire career. You need to be actively updating your knowledge, acquiring new skills, and adapting to new technologies throughout your working life.
Lifelong learning is the name of the game, but how does all this skills data translate into real-world job opportunities? The report talks about growing and declining jobs. What did they find?
What's fascinating is that the report goes beyond simply listing which jobs are increasing or decreasing in demand. They actually analyzed the specific skills associated with those jobs to understand what's driving these trends.
Okay, so they're not just looking at job titles, they're dissecting the underlying skills that make those jobs valuable in the market.
Exactly. And what they found is that certain skills are highly concentrated in those growing job roles.
Yeah.
While other skills are more common in the jobs that are declining, this gives us a much clearer picture of where the real opportunities lie.
So it's like a cheat sheet for the future job market. Tell me more, what are those skills that are closely linked to those growing jobs?
As you might expect, skills in AI and big data are at the very top of the list. This cluster of skills encompasses everything from machine learning and data analysis to developing and implementing AI solutions across different industries. It's a rapidly growing field with huge potential.
So to put it simply, if you want a job in the future, learn to speak robot.
That's a good way to put it. But it's not just about hard technical skills. The report found that those human-centered skills like resilience, flexibility, and critical thinking are also highly valuable for those growing job roles.
Yeah.
It's about being able to adapt to new situations, solve complex problems creatively, and work effectively with other skills that are difficult for AI to replicate.
It's all about that human AI synergy. We bring the creativity and critical thinking, and AI handles the heavy lifting of data analysis and automation.
Precisely. But the report also uncovered some other interesting trends. Programming skills and a strong understanding of technology are increasingly sought after, reflecting how tech is becoming integrated into almost every aspect of work.
So even if you're not aspiring to be an AI specialist, having a solid grasp of technology and how to use it effectively is going to be essential in almost any field.
Absolutely. But there's one skill that I found particularly noteworthy: environmental stewardship.
Ah, yes, those green skills we talked about earlier.
Exactly. As the world grapples with the urgent need to address climate change, the demand for professionals with expertise in sustainability, renewable energy, and environmental protection is skyrocketing.
So it's not just about robots and AI. The green economy is a major player in the future of work, and it needs people with the right skills to drive it forward.
Absolutely, and this is clearly reflected in the skills data. The report found that environmental stewardship is becoming increasingly important across a wide range of industries, not just those directly focused on environmental issues. It's about integrating sustainable practices into every aspect of business.
It's no longer a niche area, it's becoming mainstream. So having a strong understanding of environmental issues and how to implement sustainable practices is a smart career move no matter what field you're in.
I completely agree, and this is where the report offers valuable insights for anyone looking to navigate this changing job market by understanding the skills that are most closely tied to those growing jobs. You can start making strategic decisions about your own career path and invest in developing the skills that will be most in demand.
It's like having a roadmap to the future of work.
Yeah,
You can see where the opportunities are and start equipping yourself with the skills you need to succeed.
exactly. But the report doesn't use focus on individual skills. It also looks at the broader workforce strategies that companies are adopting to address these changes and adapt to this new landscape.
Now, that's what I'm really interested in because it's one thing to talk about individual skills, but it's another thing entirely to see how companies are actually changing their hiring practices and training programs to meet these future demands. What are companies doing to prepare their workforce for this future?
One of the most significant trends is the increasing emphasis on upskilling and reskilling programs for existing employees. Companies are realizing that it's often more efficient and cost-effective to invest in training their current workforce than to constantly search for new hires with those in-demand skills. It's about nurturing the talent you already have and helping them grow with the company.
So it's not just about bringing in new blood. It's about recognizing the potential of your existing employees and giving them the tools they need to stay relevant and competitive.
Exactly. And this is where those government initiatives we talked about earlier come into play.
Right.
By providing funding and support for these training programs, governments can play a crucial role in helping businesses make these important investments in their workforce. It's a win-win situation. Employees get the skills they need to thrive in a changing job market, and businesses get a more skilled and adaptable workforce. But upskilling and reskilling aren't the only strategies companies are adopting.
What are some of the other ways companies are adapting to this new reality? Are we all going to be replaced by robots?
Well, companies are definitely turning to automation to streamline their processes and handle those repetitive, time-consuming tasks.
Sure.
But it's not about replacing humans entirely. It's more about finding the right balance between human ingenuity and technological efficiency.
So it's not about humans versus robots. It's about humans working alongside robots.
Exactly. The report found that companies are also focusing on hiring individuals with the skills to work effectively alongside AI and other technologies. It's about understanding how to leverage technology to enhance our own capabilities, might be replaced by it.
It sounds like a whole new era of work is dawning, one where humans and machines collaborate to achieve common goals, but adapting to technology isn't the only challenge facing businesses, is it? What are some of the other roadblocks they're encountering?
You're right. The report identifies a number of other barriers to transformation. One of the biggest hurdles is organizational culture and resistance to change. Many companies are stuck in their old ways of doing things and struggle to adapt their internal processes, hierarchies, and mindsets to keep up with the rapid pace of change happening in the world around them.
It's like trying to turn a giant ship around in a narrow channel. It takes time and a lot of effort to change course, especially for large organizations. What other barriers did the report highlight?
Regulatory concerns are another major challenge. Many companies are hesitant to fully embrace new technologies, particularly AI, because there's a lack of clear guidelines and regulations surrounding their use.
It's like the Wild West out there.
Exactly.
There's so much innovation happening so quickly that it's hard for regulations to keep up.
And this uncertainty can stifle innovation and make it difficult for companies to adopt new technologies effectively.
Right.
They're hesitant to invest heavily in something that might be subject to sudden regulatory changes down the line.
So it sounds like there's a real need for governments to step up and provide some clarity and guidance on these issues to foster innovation and help businesses adapt to these new technologies responsibly. What are some of the things businesses are hoping to see from policymakers?
Well, unsurprisingly, funding for reskilling and upskilling programs is at the top of the list. Businesses are looking for financial support to help them invest in training their workforce for the future. It's a big ask for companies to shoulder the entire burden of reskilling and upskilling their employees, especially when those skills are constantly evolving.
It makes sense. It's a shared responsibility between the private and public sectors to ensure the workforce is prepared for the future. What other policy interventions are being proposed?
Improving public education systems is another key priority by ensuring that students are equipped with the skills they need for the future of workforce. Governments can help create a more robust and adaptable workforce from the ground up. It's about laying the foundation for lifelong learning and equipping the next generation with the skills they need to thrive in this rapidly changing world.
So it's about starting early and embedding those adaptability and critical thinking skills from the beginning. What else?
Well, businesses are also looking for greater flexibility in labor laws, particularly when it comes to remote work and hiring practices.
Okay.
They argue that outdated regulations can make it difficult to adapt to the changing nature of work, which is becoming increasingly flexible, remote, and project-based.
Right, because the traditional 9 to 5 office job is becoming a thing of the past.
Yeah.
The future of work is much more fluid and dynamic.
Exactly, and the legal framework needs to catch up to this reality to allow businesses and workers to thrive in this new environment.
So it sounds like there's a lot of work to be done both by businesses and governments to create a more adaptable and resilient workforce for the future, but it seems like there's a growing recognition of these challenges, which is a good starting point.
I agree, awareness is the first step towards change, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another critical aspect of the future of work, highlighted in the report, the increasing importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Now that's a topic I'm always keen to explore. It's not just about doing the right thing, it's about building stronger and more innovative companies.
Absolutely. The report found that companies are placing a much greater emphasis on DEI initiatives, recognizing the value of having a diverse and inclusive workforce. Diversity brings a wider range of perspectives and experiences to the table, which can lead to more creative solutions, better decision-making, and ultimately more successful businesses.
It's not just about ticking boxes and meeting quotas, it's about creating a workplace culture where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute their unique talents and perspectives.
Exactly, and companies are starting to implement concrete steps to promote DEI in the workplace.
Okay.
The report highlights initiatives like pay equity reviews, the establishment of employee resource groups, and the hiring of dedicated DEI officers to drive these efforts forward.
So it's about moving beyond good intentions and actually putting systems and processes in place to create a more equitable and inclusive workplace.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that DEI is an ongoing journey, not a destination. It requires a sustained commitment and a willingness to constantly evaluate and improve your practices to create a truly inclusive and equitable environment for everyone.
It's about creating a culture of continuous learning and improvement where everyone feels empowered to speak up and contribute their unique perspective. Now, let's talk about something that's always top of mind for employees' compensation. How are these changes in the job market going to affect people's paychecks?
The report actually offers some positive news on that front. It found that over half of employers expect to see an increase in the share of their revenue allocated to wages over the next 5 years.
So wages are going up. That's good news for workers. But what's driving this trend? Is it purely out of the goodness of their hearts?
While altruism might play a small role, the report highlights that companies are primarily focused on aligning wages with worker productivity and performance. They're recognizing the need to reward employees who are bringing value to the company and contributing to its success.
So they're recognizing the importance of investing in their workforce and ensuring that they're fairly compensated for their contributions. But it's not just about rewarding high performers, it's also about staying competitive in the talent market, right?
Exactly. Companies are facing increasing competition for talent, particularly in those high-demand fields like technology and AI, to attract and retain the best and brightest they need to offer competitive salaries and benefits packages.
It's a seller's market for skilled workers, so companies are having to step up their game to attract top talent.
That's right. And this is where the report's analysis of skills becomes so valuable. By understanding the skills that are most in demand, you can position yourself to negotiate a higher salary and advance your career more effectively.
Okay.
It's about knowing your worth in the marketplace and being able to articulate the value you bring to the table.
It's like having insider information on the job market. You know what skills are hot, and you can use that knowledge to your advantage when negotiating your salary, but let's be honest, wages aren't the only thing that matters to employees. What are some of the other factors that are becoming increasingly important to workers when they're considering a job?
You're absolutely right. Compensation is just one piece of the puzzle. Work-life balance is a major priority for many employees. They're looking for jobs that offer flexibility, remote work options, and generous vacation time. They want a job that fits into their lives, not the other way around.
It's about having a life outside of work and being able to pursue your passions and spend time with your loved ones without feeling tethered to your desk 24/7.
Exactly. And companies are starting to recognize this shift in priorities. They're offering more flexible work arrangements, remote work opportunities, and even things like on-site childcare to help employees manage their work-life balance more effectively.
It's about creating a workplace that supports the whole person, not just the worker. What other factors are employees prioritizing these days?
The report also found that company culture and values are becoming increasingly important considerations for job seekers. People want to work for companies that align with their own personal beliefs and that are making a positive impact on the world. They're looking for meaning and purpose in their work, not just a paycheck.
It's about feeling like you're a part of something bigger than yourself and that your work is contributing to a greater good.
Exactly. And companies are responding by highlighting their commitment to sustainability, diversity, and social responsibility to attract talent that shares those values. They're realizing that to attract and retain top talent, they need to offer more than just a competitive salary.
Right.
They need to create a work environment that is fulfilling, meaningful, and aligned with their employees' values.
It's a holistic approach to attracting and retaining talent, recognizing that employees are looking for more than just a job. They're looking for a place where they can thrive, both personally and professionally.
Precisely. And this is where the report's analysis of workforce strategies is so insightful. It provides a glimpse into the steps companies are taking to create a more attractive and engaging work environment that meets the evolving needs of their employees.
It's like a playbook for building a better workplace. Companies can learn from each other's successes and failures and create a work environment that truly values and supports their employees. But with all this talk about the future of work, I think it's easy to get caught up in the big picture and lose sight of what this means for individuals. What's the one piece of advice you would give to someone listening to this who's trying to navigate this rapidly changing landscape?
I think almost like we're standing at the edge of this unknown territory.
Yeah.
A bit like explorers setting out on an uncharted sea, you know?
Absolutely. It's exciting to think about the possibilities, but it's also natural to feel a little apprehensive about the unknown.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when it comes to something as fundamental as work.
I completely agree, but I think it's important to remember that this isn't just about individuals adapting. It's a collective effort. Businesses and governments also need to step up and create the conditions for a thriving future of work.
So it's not just about each of us figuring it out on our own.
Right.
It's about working together to build a future where everyone has the opportunity to succeed.
Exactly. And I think that requires a pretty significant shift in mindset,
Okay.
both individually and collectively. We need to move away from that traditional model of education and work, where you acquire a set of skills in your youth and then apply those same skills for the rest of your career. That model just doesn't cut it anymore.
Right, because the skills that are in demand today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Exactly.
So it's not about learning for a lifetime. It's about learning throughout your lifetime.
Precisely. And that requires, I think, a much more flexible and adaptable approach to education and training. It's about creating systems that allow people to continuously upskill and reskill throughout their careers, acquire new knowledge, and adapt to the evolving needs of the job market.
So instead of hyper-specializing in one very narrow field, It's about developing those broader transferable skills that can be applied across a range of industries and roles, things like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and collaboration.
Exactly. Those are the skills that allow you to learn and adapt, to pivot and evolve as the world around you changes. They're the foundation for success in any field, regardless of the specific tasks or technologies involved.
And that's where the report's emphasis on lifelong learning becomes so crucial.
Yeah,
It's about creating a culture where learning is valued and encouraged, both within companies and in society as a whole.
I couldn't agree more. It's about investing in human potential and providing people with the opportunities and resources they need to develop their skills and thrive in this ever-changing world. That means access to affordable and accessible training and education throughout their lives, not just in their early years.
It's about recognizing that learning is a lifelong journey, not a one-time event. And it's not just about formal education. It's about embracing opportunities to learn from a variety of sources, online courses, mentorship programs, workshops, even just reading widely and staying curious about the world around you.
Absolutely. And I think that this shift towards lifelong learning can be incredibly empowering for individuals.
Yeah.
It gives them more control over their own career paths and allows them to be more proactive in adapting to the changing demands of the job market.
It's like having a Swiss Army knife of skills.
Yeah,
You're prepared for whatever challenges come your way.
I love that analogy. I think that adaptability, that willingness to embrace lifelong learning, is what's going to set people apart in the future of work.
Yeah.
It's the key to not just surviving, but thriving in this new landscape.
So the message is clear. The future of work is all about adaptability, lifelong learning, and a willingness to embrace new possibilities. It's about being proactive, curious, and constantly evolving your skill set to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And I think while there are certainly challenges ahead, there are also incredible opportunities for those who are prepared to adapt and evolve. It's a brave new world of work, and we're all pioneers in this uncharted territory.
It's exciting to think about what the future holds. Who knows what amazing discoveries we'll make along the way.
That's the beauty of it. The future is unwritten, and we all have the power to shape it.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025. It's clear that the future of work is anything but predictable, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be an exciting ride. What's the one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with today?
I think the future of work may seem daunting,
Yeah,
but it's ultimately full of possibilities.
right.
The key is to stay curious, stay adaptable, and never stop learning. Embrace the challenges. Be open to new opportunities, and remember that you have the power to shape your own future.
Fantastic advice. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time.